We have three spotlight/lightning talks of 5 minutes each. And the first talk would be by Dhruv Somayajula, Senior Resident Fellow with the Legal. Dhruv, yeah.
Hi. Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Dhruv Somayajula. I'm a Senior Resident Fellow at Vidhi Center for Legal Policy. And today I'll be sharing with all of you a very exciting project that we're going to be collaborating with CRI on. And this project is going to discuss the concept of participatory AI and the role that community can have in designing and deploying AI systems. So firstly, what's the problem statement here? We see that there are various forms of AI today that are either invasive, for example, facial recognition technology systems that use biometric data, or that can cause other significant impacts to ordinary life or day-to-day life. So for example, credit scoring companies, they create credit scores based on automated algorithms, and this can have a significant impact on whether someone receives a financial loan or financial assistance or not. Similarly, there are some companies that may have used AI systems for hiring choices. There are various other kinds of recommendatory systems. In fact, I think there was an anecdote recently where a judge in the Punjab and Haryana High Court relied on ChatGPT to get a basic understanding of bail jurisprudence in India. And as we all know, ChatGPT might be very, very responsive, but its responses may not be very, very accurate all the time. So there are significant impacts that AI systems can have in our day-to-day life. And we, even the panelists were talking about this. There are various principles and various sort of themes that have already been identified, such as opacity, like a black box sort of structure where we know what the inputs are, we know what the outputs are, we don't know what happens in between. There are often issues in terms of bias. Now, bias can happen due to either there is a bias in the design itself, like a design bias, or there is a bias in the data sets or something of that sort, like a legacy bias, or there could just be inaccuracies. Like for example, in facial recognition technologies, we see a lot of perturbations and oscillations because lighting changes, or a man grew a beard and the software could no longer identify that person again. So there are all sorts of common issues, and we have identified some various themes like fairness, transparency, accountability, reliability. These are various popular forms of responsible AI principles. However, today the conversation still seeks to focus on these at a designing stage and leaves the responsibility of factoring all of this at the designing stage to the developer. Here, we do need to take into account that most AI systems today do not offer any meaningful participation to individuals who will be impacted by that AI when it is deployed. I, as a citizen, will be impacted by various forms of AI systems over various fields in my life. And I have virtually no say or control or even an input or a seat at a table to decide what it's going to, how it's going to shape my life in the future. So that's the problem statement first. Then moving on to what exactly are we trying to build? What exactly are we trying to discuss in this concept of participatory AI? The concept of participatory AI has some four basic goals. One, it seeks to involve stakeholders in the development and deployment of AI systems. So here again, there is a binary. It's not just at the development stage where some inputs can be helpful, but even at the deployment stage. For example, there are a lot of decisions that are taken in closed doors. Okay, I have a university. Tomorrow, till today, I had a sign-in sheet at the gate which noted who's coming in and who's not coming in. Tomorrow, I decided that there is a facial recognition technology I can use to replace the sign-in sheet, and I will now take a face scanner of every student every day and then give them attendance that way. Who decides that? And do the students get any say in this decision-making process? This is a big jump. And the fact that these decisions, even in deployment, not just in development, are happening in closed doors is a concern. And trying to involve the affected stakeholders in this might mitigate some of the risks here. Second, we commonly understand, I think even Partha was mentioning this, we understand that AI systems are iterative. We understand that there are a lot of issues that come up, and through feedback loops and feedback mechanisms, we can try to work in the problems that we face at the first round, the second round, third round. There is also a possibility that we can provide for inputs at the ideation level. And not, when I say at the ideation level, I don't mean at the code building level. I mean at the level when even more fundamental questions are being answered or fundamental decisions are being taken, such as what are the goals of this program? What is the purpose? What purpose does it seek to replace? What is the problem that this particular system seeks to solve? So these are all questions that are answered even before the first code line is written. And at these questions, it might be very helpful to have some inputs from the people who might be impacted by these systems. So third, there is a very important case law in India. I don't want to bore everyone too much about it, but the Puttaswamy versus Union of India, this is India's fundamental landmark judgment on data protection and privacy. It established the right to privacy, etc. It also did one other thing. It emphasized the role of information or privacy through individual autonomy. It emphasized that an individual should have the autonomy, as in they should have transparency, they should be able to give meaningful consent, and they should have meaningful control over how their data gets processed by any technological system. Now, this is very relevant for AI systems that process personal data. And by allowing people to participate in the ideation process, by giving them meaningful participation in the process of designing and deploying an AI system, we can foster individual autonomy, and we can increase like a chance for meaningful consent, because people then do understand what the system aims to do, because they themselves have played a role in helping decide what it aims to do. Now, here the stakeholders can obviously include end users, domain experts, community members, researchers. Currently, it is acknowledged that we are all at a very nascent stage. There are a lot of concerns about technological literacy, etc. But even at the stage that we are at, India has a brilliant community of researchers, both in the technological sciences and in the social sciences. India does have a lot of community representation. For example, given the case of facial recognition technology, etc. Recently, the Delhi government, the education department of the Delhi government have circulated a government order and mandated government schools to start using facial recognition technology for attendance. And an association of parents and teachers, association of parents and teachers, filed a case in the Delhi High Court asking, why is this happening? Why is this really necessary? What problem does it solve? We don't like it. We don't like that our children's photos are being taken every day in lieu of just a regular attendance. We feel it threatens their privacy, and we are not satisfied with the safety of that data. So there are existing groups where community can show their representation. So rather than that happening as a case being filed in a court and then it taking super long, why not involve these groups in this process itself, if the ultimate goal is to make life easier for so many people? So, to wrap it up, what is participatory AI? The aim of participatory AI is to give stakeholders a say in defining the goals, outcomes, means, values, and the impact of an AI system. Now, just a couple more slides on what the possible benefits of participatory AI can be. One, stakeholders can provide inputs on the necessity, for example, by doing an impact versus risk analysis. So you could look at what is the potential impact, what is the potential risks, and you can decide what the necessity of something is. The stakeholders could also provide concerns about underlying, whatever concerns they have with any underlying goals or priorities or any trade-offs that are happening in the interests of achieving those underlying priorities. If stakeholders have any relevant concerns, they can bring that up, and that can be a good way of bringing it up rather than, again, in a case law situation or something of that sort. Lastly, India, as we know, is an extremely diverse country. And almost each geographic region, each community, each religion, there are various nuanced, granular differences between various parts of India. And to design something somewhere and then seek to apply it everywhere is just not a thing that will work for every situation. And here again, local stakeholders who have awareness of localized issues and localized features can be very helpful in fine-tuning the AI system's capabilities and its parameters and its annotation, etc., to provide for more accurate results and more accurate outputs. Through consultative interaction, participatory AI frameworks can help developers. It can help developers align the goals of the AI system with localized concerns and situation-specific priorities. It can improve the quality because, again, once data points diversity increases, the accuracy will also therefore increase. It can identify and mitigate risks, again, as I was mentioning, that can be better foreseen by the people on the ground. And by doing all of this, it can foster some level of trust and public confidence. I think there's something being discussed in the panel discussion as well, that currently there is a huge lack of trust and a lack of public confidence in the AI systems itself. And by fostering trust and public confidence, we can actually help the scalability and the adoptability of AI systems. So these are all the ways in which implementing participatory AI frameworks can help the developers themselves. Lastly, what is the purpose of AI governance? Now, I understand, I think some of you might also be aware of this. Participatory AI is a term that is close to but intentionally kept away from AI democratization. Because when we talk about AI democratization, it can be in many ways. Democratization of profits, democratization of models and data sets. We are not getting into that. Here, the goal is to provide for meaningful participation and to improve the legitimacy of AI systems. And by providing for participatory frameworks for those AI systems that can process personal data, we can improve the informational autonomy angle that the Supreme Court had laid down in the Puttaswamy case as well. So this is also a way in which we can both circumvent any, not completely, but that specific legal challenge that might come in, and at the same time improve the possibilities of meaningful consent by meaningful participation. Here, again, it would be remiss of me not to highlight the challenges that such a conception faces in India. One, obviously, there are concerns about the misuse of any kind of participative process by malicious actors. So, for example, there is a suggestion that floats around nowadays a lot that model sharing. Let's do some open source model sharing, and that way it will be more participative, more people can jump in. But model sharing also has its risks. There are malicious actors who can misuse it, who can use it in a negative manner, who can game some forms of models to achieve some goals which are probably not fair or not ethical. Then again, there is a reality that the value of participation is only as good as the quality of the stakeholder input. The second we peg something on stakeholder input and stakeholder discussions, we really trust that the stakeholder input is of a standard that it is informed and educated and nuanced. And for that, the current challenge is that there is a lack of awareness of the rights, and there is a need for broader technological literacy around the impact and use of AI systems as well. Yeah. So these are all the challenges that we are currently facing, and the project that we are seeking to do with CRI is a multi-paper project that we are trying to solve. We are trying to first come up with a conceptualization of participatory AI. Then we are trying to come up with some kinds of technological standards that can be adopted, and also trying to mitigate some of these challenges. Just one extra minute I will take to highlight how this collaboration can happen. I'd just like to talk about both Vidhi and CRI's mandate and how this collaboration is good for both of us and helps us achieve our goals. Vidhi's objectives involve fostering holistic AI governance in India. And at Vidhi, we generally aim to flag concerns and offer practical practicable recommendations regarding real-world applications of AI systems and their impact on society. We also know that CIRAI is in IIT Madras, which is one of India's premier universities, and they work on responsible AI to ensure fair, ethical, and responsible deployment of AI solutions. And one of the goals of CIRAI also is to increase the impact of AI on society by enabling wider and safer adoption of AI systems. And for this purpose, our collaboration seeks to leverage our skill to make it a multidisciplinary approach, taking into account the technological side as well as the social side or the legal side when we talk about the need for meaningful participation, meaningful consent in AI systems. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Dhruv. I request Professor Chandru to hand over a memento to Dhruv. So in the interest of time, we won't take questions now, but then if you have any questions, feel free to talk to Dhruv during lunch.